Oh hey, welcome to another edition of Hand-Laid Tracks and 3D Printed Trains with Socrates. Today we're taking another look at the roller bender. This is the other side. The roller bender, basically it's three roller bearings on pins and you can use it to make curves. I use it as a rail bender to make the curves for the curved tracks, and it works pretty well. The really downside is at the end of the rail ends up with a piece that's straight. It sort of falls out. So I thought what would be better would be a smaller roller bender. So I took the same basic idea and shrunk it down as much as I could and used three smaller bearings in the middle, and it works a whole lot better to make the tracks. It's a little less precise. The bigger one is a little more, it's easier to adjust, a little bigger, a little smaller. This is a little more finicky as far as the adjustment screw and getting it the exact right dimensions. But for the most part, it still works pretty well, and the ends are really clean. It pretty much bends the rail all the way to the end. You waste less rail, it makes it a little less of a pain to use it, etc. Like I say, it's a little more finicky to use to get the exact control of it, but I find it works a bit better all things considered, and I've been using it instead of the bigger one for the last couple tracks I've made. So this is basically how the big railer works. You put the rail into the gap. It has to have a little point where it pushes down, and because the rollers are so far apart, you end up with a bit of a flat on the end of the curve, which I always found a bit annoying because you have to cut it off and deal with it, and you can't have a nice clean end to begin with. So the smaller rail roller has ball bearings that are closer to each other, and it makes that end much shorter. It's a little hard to get it in at first. Once it's in there, though, it rolls pretty easily. The rollers being closer together than on the original one makes it much smaller end to deal with. But basically, you have to put in the little nuts into all of the printed parts. I use a vice grip to basically put them in there, force them in flat, because the vice grip comes up nice and even, and that makes it easier to do it that way. And then you put in a nut into all the different pieces. There's 6 screws in all, 16 millimeter. I use countersunk, but you can use the regular rounded head as well. They both work. You need a rounded head for the middle, for the center piece that controls the actual piston, because it has to have a surface to ride on, and that one has a washer underneath it as well. For the most part, there's washers around the bearings, but that's about the only place that the washers go. And the screw in the middle, it has 2 lock washers on it, or 2 lock nuts on it, small nuts, and they go against each other, and you have to figure out exactly where in the part that the nuts have to go, and so you have to fiddle with it a little bit and make sure it's in the right place. Once you find it in the right place, take a pair of wrenches and tighten it against each other. I either use wrenches or I use the needle nose pliers because it's a bit thin in there, as there's all kind of tight clearances. But once you have that together, that's the bearing surface for the piston to move back on itself, because you have to have something to push off. And when you turn the knob on the bottom, that'll control how far apart the rails are. And that'll control how far the curve is that you're making, whether it's a tighter or a looser curve. And when you put it together, you have to make sure it's not too tight so the bearings can still roll. So you got to bring it together a little bit slowly. I use a pen on the roller bearings to see that they're actually rolling around, and once they're in there like that, you can go ahead and get it tight enough that they're still loose enough to roll, but tight enough that it stays together, because it has to be secure so that it doesn't move back and forth a little bit, because that'll completely change the radius that you're putting into the curve. But it's a nice little tool. I find it works a lot better than the bigger tool. It's a little more finicky because it's hard to get it exactly set up right. But once it's there, it's pretty consistent, and I found it works pretty well. And again, it makes a nice simple curve, and push it through the one side, and that's the easiest way to make it work. You want to always push the rails for the most part. Don't pull them. You want to push them, because otherwise you can end up basically straightening it out by pulling on it. So like I said, I put a couple marks on it so I can make sure it's actually rolling nice and free, and then push the rail through, and just like that, you've got yourself a curved piece of track. And if you're making a curved track, make some more of them and get it out to solder. And I use my own 3D printed things, and that's a 3D printed jig. It's how I make all my pieces. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be pretty darn close enough, and just like that, curved piece of track. So that's the two roller benders. They're both on Colts. You can get the big one. If you're doing bigger tracks, I think you're going to need that. And if you're doing N scale, etc., I think the small one works in some ways better. They're both available on Colts. Get them yourself. Assemble them up. Bend some rails. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Hand laid tracks doesn't have a theme song. Doesn't have a theme song. Doesn't have a theme song. Hand laid tracks still doesn't have that theme song. Because hand laid tracks doesn't have a theme song, doesn't have a theme song, doesn't have a theme song. Hand laid track, it doesn't have a theme song. Still